Hello, and welcome to Trending Japan. I'm Sakura.
And I'm Alex. Today's topics in Japan are what happens when young people are so tired they literally can't be bothered to shower, and why this is becoming a celebrated thing on social media.
It sounds funny, but it's actually quite revealing about modern Japan.
Okay, so we're talking about people just collapsing into bed all sweaty and grimy. That's the vibe?
Exactly, and they're not ashamed about it anymore. In fact, they're making it a whole thing online.
A thing? Like a community?
Yes, it even has a name. And today, we're diving into what this tiny habit tells us about Japanese work culture, perfectionism, and why Gen Z is basically saying, I'm too tired for your expectations.
I love it already. Let's go.
So, Alex, imagine you come home at 11 p.m. You've been at work since 8 a.m. You're mentally exhausted, emotionally drained. Your body is heavy. What do you do?
Hopefully shower and sleep?
That's the correct answer, right? But in Japan, there's this growing online community of people who are just not doing that anymore.
Wait, really?
Really. It's called the Furo kaiwai. Furo kaiwai. Let me break that down. Furo means bath or shower. Cancel is cancel, the English word. And kaiwai means community or sphere. So literally, the shower-canceling community.
That's incredibly specific. How is this even a community?
On social media, X, TikTok, mainly Gen Z and young millennials started posting things like, "Today I was too tired, so I just went to bed without showering." And instead of getting roasted, thousands of people replied with, "Yes, me too." Oh my God, so it's a solidarity thing. Exactly. It became this moment where people realized they weren't alone. And more than that, they started talking about it openly, almost proudly. Not in a gross way, but in a, this is the reality of my exhausted life way.
But Japan is known for being obsessed with bathing, right? Isn't that kind of a big deal culturally?
Yes, this is the really interesting part. In Japan, bathing, especially the traditional bath, the furo, is sacred. It's not just hygiene. It's spiritual. It's self-care. It's like resetting yourself.
So skipping it is basically blasphemy.
Kind of. And that's why this trend is so culturally significant. The furo has been important in Japan for centuries. In traditional culture, it's a ritual. You soak in hot water, separate from the shower, and it's supposed to wash away not just dirt, but stress and negativity.
That's beautiful, actually.
It is. But here's the thing. That ritual requires energy. You have to fill the tub, heat the water, soak for 15-20 minutes. If you're exhausted, it feels like yet another task on your to-do list.
So the furo, the thing that's supposed to help you relax, becomes another obligation.
Bingo. And this connects to something really deep in Japanese society right now. Japan has this reputation for long working hours, right? The culture of ganbare, pushing through, enduring, not complaining.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Isn't there even a word for dying from overwork?
Yes, karonshi, working yourself to death. It's a real phenomenon and a real tragedy. But before that extreme, there's just chronic exhaustion. People are tired all the time.
So the furo cancel thing isn't really about being lazy.
No, not at all. It's almost the opposite. It's young people looking at the expectation to do everything perfectly. Work hard, come home, maintain yourself, exercise, eat well, shower, sleep exactly 8 hours, and saying, I can't. Or more accurately, I'm choosing not to, and that's okay.
It's like quiet rebellion?
Yes, that's a great way to put it. In Japanese culture, open rebellion isn't really the style. But this, making a joke about being too tired to shower, normalizing it, turning it into a community, that's a very Gen Z way of pushing back against perfectionism and overwork without being confrontational.
And people are actually celebrating this?
They are. There are posts like, I achieved furo cancel, or furo cancel was necessary today. It's darkly funny, but also kind of honest. It's people acknowledging, I'm at my limit, and I'm not going to pretend I'm not.
That's actually kind of beautiful in a weird way.
Right? Now, let's compare this to the West for a second. In the US or UK, I think if you skip a shower, you might feel a bit gross, but culturally,
it's not a big deal.
True. We shower, we don't shower, whatever. It's just hygiene.
Exactly. But in Japan, because bathing has this spiritual, ritual dimension, skipping it feels like you're breaking a rule. You're not just being unhygienic, you're rejecting a part of your cultural identity. So when young people are doing this openly, they're basically saying, I'm too exhausted to even maintain my cultural identity right now.
Wow, that's kind of dark when you put it that way.
It is, but I think that's also why it resonated so much. It's honest about the human cost of Japan's work culture.
So what's the actual reaction then? Are older Japanese people horrified?
Some are, but a lot of parents and older people are also looking at this trend and feeling sad or maybe sympathetic because they recognize themselves. They've been exhausted like this too.
Has anything changed because of this trend going viral?
Not in a major policy way, no. But culturally, it's opened conversations. There are discussions now about work-life balance, about mental health, about whether the expectation of perfection is sustainable. Some companies are starting to pay attention.
So it's like symptom diagnosis, not cure yet.
Exactly. The Furo cancel trend didn't solve anything, but it made the problem visible. And in Japan, where silence and endurance are valued, just naming the problem is kind of revolutionary.
That makes sense. And I'm guessing the people doing this aren't actually unhygienic, like they shower the next morning.
Most of them, yes. It's not a hygiene movement. It's about not forcing yourself to do one more thing when you're running on empty. Some people might shower quickly in the morning instead of taking a proper Furo at night. Others just skip it once in a while and live with it.
And that's acceptable now?
Among Gen Z and young millennials online, yeah, it's become normalized, maybe even a little bit fashionable to admit you're exhausted.
I actually kind of like that. Better to admit you're tired than pretend you're fine, right?
Completely agree. And I think that's the real trend here. Not that people are skipping showers, but that they're being honest about their limits. In a culture that prizes endurance and silence, that's actually quite significant.
So quick recap, the Furo cancel trend is Gen Z in Japan basically saying, I'm too tired to shower and I'm not ashamed of it anymore.
And it's not really about showers. It's about burnout, perfectionism, and the human need to rest. It's a tiny cultural moment that reveals something huge about modern Japanese society.
Here's something to think about. Is there a rule or expectation in your own culture that you sometimes just can't meet? What would happen if you openly admitted it? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
Until next time, mata ne.
Matane.